to say something incredibly stupid as soon as you hit the record button and get us both in trouble?
I mean, no, but I might. So it's more for me than it is for you.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
Fair enough.
so, but yeah. Uh, wow, you kind of just because you that's see that's the other reason why I asked because I hit click record and then you were talking when it actually started recording. I had a fun I had a fun open I was gonna do to get us both riled up for right off the bat and then
No, have at it. I thought I had started talking in time before you clicked the record button.
no, I thought you were done, so I clicked record. So I was
Yeah.
I
Well,
was gonna
Kevin Dunn
start out.
over here.
So we'll just pretend for the sake.
Yeah.
Everyone, just pretend that the video hasn't started yet. So all I'm saying is, if your motto in life is what would Patrick Waugh do, maybe it's no wonder you got your ass kicked in 2 UFC fights.
You know, you said you wanted to get me fired up, and that may have worked, but there's a level of like loyalty with me, and loyalty to those Red Wings teams surpasses loyalty to Mr. Brooks. So I'm right there with you. Yeah, blood streaming down Waugh's face looked awful similar to Punk. What would it be? 18 years later, getting beat up by Mickey Gall. Wasn't that the guy's name?
Yeah, something like that. I
Mike
just
Johnson was one of them.
I just don't understand like who makes that shirt and like that's like the equivalent of making a shirt of Mick Foley's prone body after he gets not when he gets thrown off the cell, but after he gets thrown through the cell, and then being like, oh, what would Mick Foley do?
Right, right. Well, he doesn't. I'm going to go ahead and guess. Being a Chicago guy, he doesn't have fond feelings for the Detroit Red Wings. So I can see him being a Wah guy and then
Sure,
being like, "Oh, I'm so tough." Yeah.
sure, but the picture on the shirt is after he got his ass kicked by a goalie half his size.
Well, if you listen to the Avalanche fans, that's not how it went. Video evidence clearly shows that's not the case. But you listen to those Avalanche people, and Mike Vernon beat the holy hell out of, or Wah beat the holy hell out of Mike Vernon.
Just
So
Google, just YouTube, go on Google, YouTube, whatever. Fight Night at the Joe, and see for yourself.
yeah,
I would do. I was unreasonably irate when I saw that video last week.
yeah, you were pretty fired up in the text. You don't
Oh,
usually text like that.
I was like,
It
oh,
was like the perfect storm of like the wrestler you hate the most and the sports team you hate the most coming together for this perfect mix of like,
possibly the athlete I hate the most.
nah, Forsberg. Of anyone on that team, it's Forsberg.
Ah, see, I don't know.
To my dying day, I will hate Peter Forsberg more than anyone else, more than Claude Lemieux. Because the thing about Lemieux and Waugh was they didn't shy away from who they were, and Forsberg always played the no, I'm not a dirty player. I'm nothing like that. I'm Swedish. I would never. The one guy on the Red Wings he wants to fight is Igor Larionov. That tells you all you need to know about Peter Forsberg.
Fair enough.
Fuck the Avalanche. See, you got me fired
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
I've been trying not to swear, and now I'm thinking about it. You got me fired up.
That's what the takeaway from all of this is fuck the Colorado Avalanche.
Sure.
Yeah. So, well, it is Kris and Matt's Wrestling Pod, not Kris and Matt's Glory Days of Hockeytown Pod.
Although that could be our next one.
I mean, sure. I'll take that trip down memory lane. But yeah, and we're gonna talk a little bit of wrestling and a lot about Fast X. So,
Yes.
this is your spoiler warning. I'm gonna try and keep it all to the end, but we could just ad lib and start talking about things that happened in the movie without even thinking about it. So, just full on spoiler warning. If you haven't seen Fast X yet and you care about such things, you might want to hold off on watching this video.
Oh yeah, I told you before we hit the record button. I'll let you do whatever you want, and I'm just here for the Fast X talk today.
Cool. Well,
That movie was outstanding.
It was. So yeah, we'll just blow by all these. We'll be like Dom in his Charger, going through these wrestling topics, and we'll do a full breakdown of Fast X that Matt and I went and saw last night. So, and we'll just go in chronological order. We'll start last Friday, major announcement on SmackDown. We have a...
See, it already slipped my mind.
Yeah, exactly. I literally 5 minutes ago told Matt what the topics were, and he's like, "Oh, what?"
No, I'm just laser focused.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. At Night of Champions, it will be Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa challenging Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the undisputed tag team titles, and this threw a lot of people for a loop, and for good reason. Sami pretty much has, or not pretty much, he hasn't been welcome over there, and because of that, Kevin, being his best bud, is like, well, then I'm not going over there.
Yeah.
But so, barring some sort of swerve here in the next couple weeks, they're both going.
Yeah, I don't think there's a swerve. I don't think they'd announce something like that just to take it away. Yeah, it's really weird. We don't know the conversations or the reasons why they're being allowed to go over there. But for this whole Saudi deal, and specifically the stuff with Sami and the women, and not allowing the LGBTQ T-shirts and stuff, were a big reason why I quit following WWE in the first place. It's a moral. It's one of those stupid moral things, but it was enough where I was like, this isn't okay with me. I'm not going to support someone. And the fact that they're going over there, maybe some common ground was met.
So
good for them either way. But
according to people who pay much closer attention to the real world than I do, not the MTV TV show, but the actual real world outside of wrestling and Fast and Furious movies, I guess there's been some headway made in diplomacy between the Saudi government and the Syrian government, and I guess that's maybe what's kind of opened the door for this. I don't know. But hey, at work, hopefully at worst, this will let Sami, donate a big chunk of change to his Sami for Syria,
nonprofit
thing that he does. So yeah, it definitely caught me off guard, especially because I said it here a few weeks back when they were doing the rematch with the Usos. I thought for sure the Usos were gonna win them back because I didn't think that they were gonna make the trip over. And
yeah,
as far as the match itself goes, I saw a lot of people that were up in arms about because this event happens to fall exactly on the day 1000 for Roman and his reign, and a lot of people were up in arms about how he's not defending his title, he's going after the tag team titles. I'm at the point where until I'm the next time I'm reasonably sure that it's possible that he's gonna lose, I don't care if he defends. I'm not interested in just another defense just to see him defend the title. And I think this is much more interesting than Universal title defense would be, because of the way it plays into the rest of this, the storyline with him and the Usos. So
yeah, and it doesn't, like you said, it another title match. Whomever it was going to be, he's going to win. Right. So then it's just going to lead to the inevitable, more people complaining about how he doesn't lose. There's no benefit, at least with this. Look, when I first heard the match, my immediate thought was, oh, the Usos are gonna screw up the interference, and Roman will take his first loss in X amount of time or whatever on day 1000.
I don't even think he won't take the loss. Solo will.
Maybe, but this is just what I thought was oh, the Usos screw up. Roman finally takes an L and has legitimate fury at his cousins. And just him and Solo beat the holy hell out of the Uso brothers. And Sami and Kevin escape and get to say, look, we've caused the rift in the bloodline that we wanted to.
Yeah.
That's if that's how it goes, that's all well and good. I'm still really disappointed with how this has played out post Mania. But it's a big match. There's no denying that. There's going to be interest in it for sure.
Yeah, it's just I echo your sentiment. It's just tough because everything that we thought of as far as how things were going to go post Mania was under the assumption that all their titles would be gone, and seeing as Roman still has his, that it's still, I think everyone's still kind of coming to terms with that and like reeling with, okay, we gotta, like, to whatever degree you feel like doing this, you kind of gotta like put what your expectations were aside and actually, okay, that's not what they did, this is what they're doing, let me try and see if I can get into this or not. So
yeah. And for me, it's definitely not enough where I'm like, I need to watch.
Yeah, no.
From a distance, nothing they're doing right now, especially involving this storyline, has got me like, oh, I need to see the next steps. I can catch whenever they do the next Bloodline recap video.
Yeah,
I'll just get filled in from there because the rest of this it's all stuff they could have been doing before WrestleMania that they didn't do, and they're stretching it out. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's it on that. We finally have the official announcement for AEW Saturday Collision. First of all, I texted you this. I love the throwback feel to the old Nitro logo on this.
Yeah.
It's pretty. It's like basically as close as you're gonna get. I mean, the only thing that would be better if they went with the old TNT logo, instead of the current one. But I mean, the color scheme, all of it is just like, mwah. I love it.
Yeah, I assume they ran it through legal a bunch too, because when I saw it, I was like, I don't know, man. WWE might be able to get away with a cease and desist on that because they own the logos and stuff. You might be able to argue that it's too similar, but I would assume they've run it through enough legalese where they can get away with it. But yeah, I like, if you're gonna do it though, let's do it. I want the flames on the ring mats around the ring.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I want the steel. I mean, give me the Nitro set.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it's just the Dynamite set with the Collision logos,
yeah,
cool. I like the Dynamite set, but like, come on, give me what I want. Give me get that Batista gift going, and
give me what
I want. Let's really go throwback on.
Yeah, exactly. Big metal steel plate AEW logos on either side of the entrance.
Yep.
Yeah.
Commentary booth
off to the side with their backs turned to the ring.
Exactly.
Yep. I'm for it.
Which, if you remember to the early AEW show, that was kind of how the broadcast would start. It would open up, they'd welcome us in, it'd be JR and Tony and Excalibur at the desk. Like, you could do that easy. And I feel like one of the things that makes WWE's products so hard to watch consistency is it all starts to blend together because it all looks the same.
Mm-hmm.
The giant LED, it's just blue and red.
Mm-hmm.
But the giant LED boards and the graphics are all the same. Give me a completely different presentation, especially since it sounds like they're splitting the rosters.
Yeah.
I want entirely different presentations, like the early draft where Raw and SmackDown had different sets and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of split rosters, sounds like there might be a more defined brand split than what initially was thought. But that obviously hasn't been confirmed by any means yet. There's no mention of Punk in the press release, and Warner Discovery went so far as to say, give an official statement that Punk wasn't involved with Collision. And then there's been a whole bunch of back and forth about, is he in, is he out? I still think he's in. I guess you can go on Ticketmaster and pay for your parking for the June 17th
United
show
Center.
at United Center. They're not
Yeah.
running United Center unless they have him. I think they're just. I guess they're just dragging. Tony's making another announcement next week about where the first collision is happening. I gotta think that's where it is. That's where it happens. Where he, where they reveal it. Yeah, I think this is a lot of people just kind of like, a lot of hand wringing for nothing. I know that this show wasn't created expressly for him, but I don't think Warner is ponying up the money for the second show without him. That's just my thought on it, and I could be completely wrong.
Well, I mean, because they haven't announced the TV deal, so I think, look, this entire saga of CM Punk's return to wrestling, then brawl out and all this, has exposed the wrestling journalism community. And I get fired up about it because my day job, I deal with people all the time coming after me for not even getting things wrong, typos and things like that. We're held to a much higher standard. And these wrestling journalists that are out here, this entire saga has proven how little they actually know and how much they're actually told. And it's disappointing because it's clearly impacting this company in numerous ways that aren't even necessary. And this stuff with Punk this week of like, well, he was in the press release and then they took him out at the last minute. We don't know if he's coming back or not.
Mm-hmm.
How do you actually know that? Do you have that on the record from anybody?
Right.
No. And then people point to the Warner Brother statement. Very easily, this is how that statement came together. Hey, we noticed CM Punk was not in the release. He's been rumored with it. I'm with Variety. Can you confirm or deny that CM Punk's going to be involved? And Warner Brothers goes, he's not involved at this moment because they have a responsibility as a public company to not lie to people.
Mm-hmm.
So if he is not in there at this moment because AEW as a company is like, no, we're keeping it a secret for right now because we're trying to drum up interest, they can't lie about that stuff. They can get a lot of trouble for stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like these Meltzers and Alvarez and Bix and all these guys getting in the middle of this, no one knows what's really going on. And when Punk gets on Instagram and is calling these people out by name, that tells me that he is at a point where he's like, I'm not going to sit here and let people lie about me anymore. And if my company isn't going to stand up for me, I'm just going to do it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, here's another scenario where his name is getting drugged through the mud. And if AEW is so gung-ho on not announcing they're working with him again, he's got to stand up for himself.
Right.
And he's doing it, and everyone's getting bent out of shape. He said it. He hasn't been on TV for 9 months, and all anybody wants to talk about is CM Punk. It doesn't matter what else is going on. If a little piece of CM Punk news comes out, it's all wrestling fans. Either you love him or you hate him, and people start arguing about it. Mm-hmm. And it's ridiculous. And it overshadows, hey, Miro's coming back and is going to be featured on a primetime show. AEW fans have been screaming for months. When is Miro coming back? And now it's been overshadowed because Punk's face wasn't in the promotional material. Come on. Like, find something else to talk about until the guy is actually officially in or out. Until we know, just shut up, Meltzer. And he's out there again today, pushing more, oh, there's truth to this story, but I don't know about that. Like, okay, man, you're just making it up at this point. Like, it's clear you're making up a lot of what's coming out at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why, and like, call me a shill or whatever. And I don't read Dave's stuff. I don't read anyone else's stuff. I just know, like with SRS, he's very clear in his reports about what he's being told by people and what he can actually confirm by the company or by whoever it is in this case, Punk.
Sure. But the danger in reporting what you've been told is, and we see it in real news to this day, of, well, I was told this, turns into this happened. And then it turns into, well, SRS said it. SRS said that CM Punk is going to come back and he's going to beat MJF in the middle of the ring in 15 seconds because he demanded it, and he demanded Ace Steel get rehired, and that Larry is the official mascot of AEW. So, even though SRS can, it's clear as day, say, this is what I was told, people run with it as fact. And you're at a point where if what you're being told is turning into an issue, you have to do better and pull back on that as well. Multiple sources of confirmation.
I think that's more of a problem, and we'll get to the aggregation sites later when we get to our Fast X discussion.
All these sons of bitches.
I know, but it's a bigger problem with the not so much. And again, I'm speaking only for Fightful's reporting because they're the only ones I really pay attention to. It's not so much it's how it's aggregated and how the people at these aggregation sites, they'll take all the context out of it and be like, oh, well, this was in Fightful's report. And then that's what gets passed around because and he's very clear. Like, if you don't want to pay the $5, don't pay the $5. Like, it's no skin off my back. That's just what our business model is. So, obviously there's more people not subscribed to their service than is. But so most people, they just see the aggregations. And if they see someone who did a half-assed job of relaying the information that was in the report, then that's what the problem is. It's not the reporting, it's everything else.
I agree to an extent, but also and this is, and I want to be clear, I'm not knocking Sean at all, because like you said, he does, I don't subscribe, but you see that because people are hacks and they post their paywalled content. You see, like, he is clear about that. But my point is, and it's not just SRS, but in general, reporting I'm told and not reporting from multiple sources, or being able to even once in a while put a name to where the information has come from. It's an issue because you're presenting this stuff to an audience that is rabid and will take whatever piece they want and turn it, and you're fueling the fire, and this impacts people's real lives, and they don't seem to have a regard for that at all. Meltzer especially doesn't give a shit about how much he's impacting people if they're not one of his sources. He's proven that over 30 years. Right. If you're not one of his guys, he doesn't care if what he reports causes you a job or causes you tens of thousands of dollars in potential earnings. He just doesn't care. Alvarez is out here holding grudges from 15, 20 years ago, trying to just keeps putting Punk's name out there because they're going to click on it. And it's aggravating to watch the entire industry get sucked into this stuff more and more in the age of social media, where, like you said, an aggregate site pulls one piece of information and suddenly that becomes the entire narrative around it.
Right. Yep.
And back to the original part of all of this, of Collision coming out, you're absolutely right. There's no way this show isn't happening without CM Punk. Yeah. Because what's the point of a roster split? What's the point of setting it up where everyone knows it's in Chicago? Like, he's coming in. Yeah. He's coming back. Why would CM Punk be posting videos of him working out? Oh, by the way, did you see the guns on Phil in those videos? Looking good.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't be posting this stuff if he was just going to be sitting on his couch in Chicago in 6 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I think, everyone just needs to relax. And, we'll see in a couple weeks. If not sooner. Like, I think there's still a good chance he might show up at Double or Nothing.
Oh, you think so?
I mean, I don't think it's a great chance, but like, I wouldn't rule it out. Or maybe at the very least, some sort of something kind of on the order of what MJF did after, at the end of All Out with the video. Everything, like, do everything except for him coming out at the end.
Yeah.
Like maybe, a bogus voicemail from Tony, that kind of, something similar.
Sure.
Because I do think.
Listen here, Muffin Boy.
Yeah. Like, I do think that, I think they got to wrap that story up, kind of put a conclusion. Because, I mean, they did the dog collar match, and that was kind of the end, but I think there's still more you can get out of that. Because I think that's where they were. Maybe not, but I think that's where they were going anyway. Is I think MJF was going to beat Punk for the belt.
I absolutely. And it was going to be the catalyst for Punk's turn. That had to be where it was going. Punk was going to lose to MJF, and that was going to be the flip.
Right. But
with his, and I'll cut. We can say this for if he actually comes back.
Okay.
I'll just stop there. We'll save it for when he actually comes back.
Sounds good. Dynamite this week. There's a lot going on. There was a really good match with Jericho and Roderick Strong. Falls Count Anywhere. That was excellent. Proving exactly what I've been saying, like, about Jericho. Like, I get the fatigue, but when he's got a big spot, he still delivers. And
that's why he's the GOAT.
Yeah. But we finally, at the end of the night, got our Elite reunion. It was kind of weird too, because I was, they did the thing earlier where the Bucks were in the parking lot or whatever, and BCC came out and attacked them.
And Nick absolutely smoked Wheeler Yuta with a suitcase.
Yes. Yeah.
That was Braun Strowman with the steel steps type of energy.
Yeah. So they get beat down in the parking lot, and like, it was kind of, I have some nitpicks. I don't know if I'll get into them. But it was kind of weird, like, because I was under the impression that Kenny wasn't there, because like the setup was like they were being asked, I can't remember if it was from Renee or who, about, how Kenny was doing after the Don Callis betrayal, and they started to answer, and that's where when BCC showed up to beat him up, and I'm like, okay, well, is Kenny not here this week? Okay, well then fast forward, they keep saying we're gonna hear from Don Callis, and it was the main event, and when I realized it was gonna be the main event, I was like, oh, okay, all right, I know
here it is,
and Kenny was there. He comes out, and immediately the BCC comes out, and they kind of, take out Kenny for a second and get in the ring and like, stay down, Kenny. And then here come the Bucks, and they bring out a trash can full of weapons. And then there's, it's getting overused because they have him he takes so much time off himself. Whether it be a baby, a concussion, or, the storyline or whatever. But when Hangman hasn't been on TV in a long time, and those first few notes of his theme song hit, the crowd just goes nuts.
Yeah.
But he comes out, and they, like, at first, Kenny kind of gave him a look, and I thought, are we still going to have issues? But nope. Kenny hands him the broom wrapped in barbed wire, and they make their way to the ring, clear house, and Hangman leans out the challenge: Anarchy in the arena at Double or Nothing.
Well, and the important part is
first reported here on Kris and Matt's Wrestling Pod 2.0.
Yeah, right. I mean, to me, the most important part is if it was the first time that he stood on the same side of the ring, not the stage, but stood on the same side of the ring with the Elite, and then proclaimed the Elite is the heart and soul, and like, it's official, they're back together.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, they better be back together, because if they keep stretching out this, does Hangman like it's at some point you got to move past it.
I agree. I agree. They need to be back all together again for a while, and not like everything together, but like there can't be any kind of can they coexist stuff going on for quite a while.
And Hangman having issues with the Bucks, or Matt in particular, like And look, man, I really haven't liked this whole Kenny having tension with the Bucks thing either. Like that's one of those groups like you with the New Day. I never want to see those three fight. I just
Yeah.
want that group to be together, and I've never liked when they've teased the tension.
Right. Yeah. So it was kind of weird that they didn't. I don't know why they didn't all just come out. I know they wanted to like build the pops or whatever, but if they're all there, just come out. Especially like the Bucks. You know, I get Kenny wanting to come out by himself, but then like just have the Bucks and Hangman come out all to, you know, because it's not like they didn't know he was there at that point, obviously.
Right.
But again, that was just a minor gripe.
Yo, what are you doing here?
Yeah. Someone had a thing. I don't know if it's intentional or just a really cool coincidence, but they had 3 different photos of the 4 of them in the ring. It was, you probably saw the same one. It was at Revolution. It was the Winnipeg show a couple months ago when this whole thing first kind of started getting kicked off, and then this past Wednesday, and it's Hangman on the left side of the ring, and then the other 3 on the right side, and they're always lined up in the same order on the other. Like it was just a cool like. Mm-hmm. If that's something they actually think about, like
it had to be.
Like that's
well, because when they did the segment and I saw how it played out, when Hangman walked over, that was when I first heard, he's aligned with him. He's not just with him; he's aligned with him. And they haven't done that yet.
Yeah, and they did the whole. You know, they did. They're all raising each other's arms and stuff. So it'll be.
Look. At the end of it all, too, it is a little ridiculous that BCC is destroying the Elite every week, but there are legitimately 8 members of Bullet Club now in AEW. I mean, come on. Like if BC for life, like, wouldn't they just lean over to their boys and say, look, we're all Bullet Club. We gotta come together.
Yeah, they're all a couple generations.
Same with Cole messing around with the Jericho Appreciation Society.
Oh yeah. But anyways, I was hyped. I was glad. I finally got what I've been waiting for the last couple months, and I'm ready. I'm like, okay, I'm in. I'm watching Double or Nothing, whether it's, you know, ordering it at home or going to the theater. Like that's what I needed.
That's the match.
Okay. So.
You mean you're not interested in Orange Cassidy defending the Workman's belt in a 20-person battle royal?
No, because if he loses, that's lame, and if he beats everyone in a battle royal, that's lame too.
That's what I was. Dude, he's been doing so great with that belt. Why wouldn't you just find another match? Like, I would rather see him wrestle a 20-minute match than anything else they're going to do in this battle royal.
Mm-hmm. It's weird they've kind of turned Sami babyface again, but he's still part of JAS technically. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Anyone who faces off with MJF is going to be the babyface at this point.
That's true, but they're doing this whole, like, all of a sudden, like, after all of that they've said to each other, now they're doing this, hey, as long as it's one of us, that's all that matters, guys.
Yeah, which, again, I think, going back to our conversation last week or 2 weeks ago, it just shows how, like, MJF's promo last week of how big of a gap between the 3 of them and him is just, it's this, unfortunately, this story has just proven that there, of the 4 pillars, there's one of them that's really holding it up, and the other 3 are still trying to get there. Yeah. Darby's the closest, but the other 2, it just...
They need a few, they need a few sugar packets underneath them to kind of help prop them up so the table stays level. That's not a short joke. I'm just saying, like, as far as...
No, I'm literally looking down at the table that I'm sitting at to see what I have holding up, and it's not sugar packets. It's a piece of cardboard.
There you go. All right, it's time. This is your last warning.
Oh.
We've made it. We've made it through. We haven't talked about it, so this is your warning. You can shut the video off now if you don't want anything spoiled for Fast X. All right, I'm assuming if you're still here, you're
in for it. And as much as the ending of Dynamite this week was a piece of cinema. The efforts of Fast 10 are the single greatest performance art piece of the 2020s. This movie, outstanding. No notes.
Yeah, pretty much. No, look. I was saying, I'm in a couple, Facebook groups about movies. One specifically tailored to nerd movies, and one is more movies in general. And I think I posted it or I was in a conversation with someone in one of them. I can't remember which group it was. And I basically said, look, at this point, if you don't know what you're in for when you go see one of these movies, that's on you. If you keep spending your money and leaving disappointed, you're either in on, and like, I'm not saying it's a joke, because obviously, like, Vin Diesel takes this very seriously, but if you're either in on the joke or you're not, like,
right.
I'm all the way in.
I was talking to my buddy earlier today, because I told him we went, and he's like, "Is it as bad as the other ones?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's absolutely terrible, but it's incredible because it's pure entertainment from the stuff." Like I said to him, I don't go to the movie. Occasionally, I go to the movies to watch something that gives me the feels, or watch something that's really intense and informative. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah,
90% of the Oppenheimer, you putz.
That's what I said.
I thought you said Oppenheimer.
No, I said
it broke up in my. Oh. Okay, fair enough. 9 times out of 10, when I go to the movies, I'm going to be entertained and to escape from reality. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I go see comedies. I go see action movies. I'll go see a rom-com with the wife, where you're like, no guy would ever put up, like, it's an escape. It's an illusion. These movies, if you're going in, be like, well, you could never the physics of that wouldn't work.
Oh,
and you're serious about it,
mm-hmm.
like, you're missing the point completely. Just go in and watch the ridiculousness, the terrible dialogue. Crank it up.
Mm-hmm.
The awful act. There's not a single person in those movies that has an ounce. Well, some of the guest stars maybe, but the main cast. I was going to
say, there are people with actual Oscars in this franchise. Right,
but the main cast, the family, some of the worst actors on the planet. You never see Vin Diesel starring in another movie. You know why? Because he's a terrible actor. But man, is he perfect as Dominic Toretto. I just, the whole time you and I are sitting there laughing, holy shit, how stupid was that? Blah, ha, ha. It's scenes that aren't supposed to be funny, because it's like you said, if you're in on the joke, it's incredible.
Yeah. Big shout out to Jason Momoa. He stole this movie. He ate everyone's lunch in this movie. He was incredible in this, like,
easily the best villain in the franchise so far.
I would say so. I'm hedging just because of recency bias. It's either him or it's one of the Shaw brothers, but it's definitely he's definitely in the top tier of Fast and Furious villains.
I think he was the absolute, like,
I mean,
halfway through the movie, I'm just like, this is incredible. Like, this is what because the bad guys in these movies are always so serious.
Exactly.
And I'm coming, and he's just like, we're gonna destroy. He's the Joker. He's Seth Rollins. Like, he's just a collaboration of a bunch of wild characters.
He's like, because everyone makes the joke about how much he looks like Roman. It's like if Roman did Seth's gimmick with a little bit of, like, either early Gold Dust or, like, Adrian Adonis mixed in.
Right.
And
it was almost a little bit of Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean, with the body movements and things like that. Yeah. Like, so, and I was so happy he didn't come in and just, like, because, well, we already said, spoiler alert, that he didn't come in and was like, you killed my father and now I'm after you. It's like, I'm here to ruin your life and the lives of anyone that's ever been friends with you. We're going to destroy that. And we're not just going to kill you, we're going to make you suffer
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to destroy the world while we're at it.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
go
No.
ahead.
Yeah. So those who don't know, this was fairly common knowledge going into the movie. I think, especially if you're as in deep in the universe as we are, that he's the son. He plays the son of the bad guy from Fast Five, and the opening of the movie is basically like repurposed scenes from Fast Five with Jason Momoa cut in to make it look like he was there the whole time, and I thought they did a really good job.
I did too.
You know, of like making me like, oh, okay, like because sometimes movies do that with bringing in new characters and like, oh, well, they were here, and like, no, they weren't. I thought this was like, as far as that kind of stuff
Well,
goes, it was
this was
pretty
better well done than when they tied Jason Statham into Han's death at the end of.
Tokyo Drift.
Well, no, well, he dies at the end of Tokyo
Right.
Drift, but you get the spoiler that he's involved at the end of 6, and then 7 starts, and he's
Right.
Jason Statham, and Dom is now in Japan talking to Bow Wow, and like I thought this way of tying Momoa into the saga worked a lot better than when they brought all those other characters back into it in
Right.
6 and 7.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. So yeah, I mean, yeah, he's basically like you said, he's on a mission to make Dom and his family suffer. We open with usually we end with a barbecue. We opened with the bar. Well, not open because we, like I said, we did the flashback thing. But then the movie proper gets started with a barbecue. Grandma Toretto is she flies in from somewhere. They don't say where because they're like increasingly, especially now with like bringing Cena in to the family, like they're increasingly vague on like what are the Torettos.
Are they Italians? Are they Hispanic?
Yeah.
Are they just plain old white Americans? Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing here?
So yeah, they bring Grandma Toretto in, and she has this thing. There was a lot of, so we were talking after the movie about who all's coming back, because there's supposed to be now. It was going to be 2 now. Depending on who you ask, there's 3 more movies.
Well, no, 2 more movies
Well,
after
I
this
meant
one.
including this one. There's
Yeah,
supposed to be
okay, yeah.
this one and another one, and then they're like, no, it's going to be a trilogy. When we all know there's going to be like 20 more, and which is fine. And so we were like, oh well, they can bring this person back. I'm becoming more and more convinced that they're going to do, especially with the passage of time, they're going to do something like Brian is coming back in one of these movies via CGI and the
The
brother, but with the technology they can do, like especially like what Star Wars has done with the re-speecher, where like they don't even need James Earl Jones anymore.
Oh, if you have you not to sidetrack, but these AI
Oh yeah,
songs that are being made, where it's like, oh, this is what was the one I heard the other day? It was like Kanye West doing "We Will Rock You" or something, and I'm like, this is incredible. Like it sounds just like Kanye, and it sounds like
it was
you could
incredible because
easily.
of how it sounded so real, not incredible because it was Kanye. Let's just be clear.
No, I meant that it sounded like if you just told me, yeah, Kanye covered "We Will Rock You" or whatever it was, and was like, here, listen to this. I'd be like, man, that sounds just like Kanye. I would have never known that it came from
Right. I just
a
want to make
computer.
it
So you
clear
could
that you were not like advocating for Kanye.
yes, very much so.
Um,
I stand with Fast X cameo star Pete Davidson in his fuck Kanye methods.
right. Um, where was I going with? Oh yeah, because they were really. I don't know if you picked up on it. They were really heavy-handed. Not really heavy-handed. Less than subtle about like reminding you that Paul Walker's dead in this movie. There was the right there, the grandma comes in and talks to Dom in the garage, and Dom's looking around at all the photos and stuff. And in the background is the piano part to See You Again playing.
Yep. I caught it.
And then later, when he's back in Rio and he's talking to Elena's sister, and he said, I can't remember the exact line, but he says something about how, when criminals and cops come together and travel the same road, blah, 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 blah. And he starts crying. And I'm like, okay. Like, for whatever, Paul Walker's been gone for quite a while. Brian hasn't been in a movie since 7, so this is like, we're three movies past that now. Why now all of a sudden are we like, and the other part of the reason why I think they're going to find a way to bring him in, is because as we go along, as ridiculous as the universe is, the most ridiculous thing in this movie is that Brian didn't show up to help Dom in any way.
Right.
I mean,
well, and Mia, like, quite literally in the movie talks about, I got to get to Brian and the girls.
Yeah.
So in canon, in the universe, he's not dead.
Right. That's what
They're
I'm saying.
off hiding. Like, at some point when it becomes, as the movie goes on, you learn, like, Jason Momoa's character has God's eye, and he can find you anywhere. They can't hide forever. He's gonna have to come save the day. And I picture, I cut you off. I'll let you finish.
No,
in my head,
I was pretty much done. Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, obviously we know why Brian. We know the real reason why Brian isn't in these movies, the real life reason. But in canon, like, it makes zero sense. It made zero, like, that's the, and it's been that way since, he drove off the separate path at the end of 7. Like,
yeah,
they've just been like, oh, well, Brian's taking care of the kids. It's like, that's his sole responsibility now. It's like,
Brian's taking care of the kids, but he can't show up to the barbecue with Grandma Toretta, who just flew in from God knows where. Just Mia's at lunch that day. No one else from the family's out over. She doesn't want to see her great grandkids. The hell with that.
Yeah. She's got little B. That's all that matters. That's the only great grandkid that matters.
After the movie, I'll finish this up. And after the movie, you and I were talking about how that was like kind of their Infinity War and Empire, where it's like,
it ends on a downer.
It looks like there's no hope, right?
Yeah.
I totally imagine a scene in the next movie where Dom is pulling up to try to fight Dante. What's his last name?
Reyes,
that's what it is. He's pulling up to face Dante again, and then The Rock pulls up and Statham pulls up, almost like an Endgame where Cap is like, come in. And then
left.
there's dude, if they do it right, and he's like on the left, and Paul Walker pulls up next to Dom in the Supra, I'll lose it. Yeah. I'll in the middle of the theater. Like, that's how, if they bring him back, they got to do it right. Yeah. That's how you.
Yeah, we're gonna kind of skip around, but yeah. So the movie ends basically. So yeah, the whole movie is Jason Momoa, Dante, like, just making the family's life a living hell. He sends somehow Roman gets convinced that the agency wants him to run a mission in Rome. And the agency is the very what's the word? Nondescript government agency that the family has been working for in the last few movies.
Thanks to Mr. Nobody.
Yes, thanks to Kurt Russell,
who has also conveniently disappeared. Yes, and is not.
I thought he was dead, but they're acting like, no, he's just hiding. So
he'll be back.
Oh yeah, well, as we'll see, as we'll get to, ain't nobody dead.
No one dies in this saga. Nobody.
So yeah, they send him to this. It's Roman, Tej, Han, and why can't I think of her name?
The hacker.
Yeah, I just had it. Oh, anyways, yeah, that
too many characters.
I know. Natalie Emanuel is her real name.
Yeah, that's. I was sitting here going like, I know her real name, but I can't think of her character's
name. I was just thinking of it earlier, and it's gone now. But anyways, so they go to Rome, and while they're in Rome, Cypher, Charlize Theron, just shows up on Dom's door, a bloody mess, and he's like, "Tell me why I shouldn't kill you." And she's like, I've seen the devil.
A Jack Nicholson level performance, by the way.
Yes. And so she tells the tale of how Dante showed up at her hideout and basically stole all her technology and all her henchmen because he had all their families like held hostage and was going to kill them all.
Kidnapped.
Yeah, kidnapped. And then they have a fight, and she narrowly escapes with her life after losing, as we were told in a few minutes, she lost 6 pints of blood, and most normal people die after 4.
Yep. All 110 pounds of Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
Didn't bleed out.
She pulls up to Dom's house in a pretty sweet DeLorean. Are they making those again?
I don't know, but I don't know if you heard me. I went, holy shit, is that a DeLorean?
Yeah.
When it pulled up. Like, yeah.
It was like a modern, because it like the DeLorean on the front lit up. Yeah, it was sweet.
Holy shit, that's the next movie. Doc Brown shows up. They go back in time and kill Dante.
What studio made Back to the Future? Was it Universal?
I'm pretty sure it was Universal.
We did it.
They've been talking about rebooting the franchise, so why the hell not?
We did it. So yeah, then the next morning, little nobody shows up at the house and is like, "Go ahead."
Distributed by Universal Pictures.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Anyway, little Dom shows up.
No, little nobody shows up and
little
like,
nobody.
"Oh yeah, that's crazy. We'll take her to our top secret detention facility," and then they're like, "We gotta find Roman and everyone." And little Nobi is like, "Well, where are they?" And they're like, "They're in Rome because you sent them there." He goes, "I didn't send them to Rome." And then the line, I don't know why, the line that got all over me in the theater. That just like I couldn't stop laughing for like 2 solid minutes was right. Little nobody. Scott Eastwood goes, "Shit, I guess we're going to Rome."
Yeah, you popped really like it was a good line, but you were like, "Oh man, that's amazing."
I don't know why. It's just the most ridiculous. Like, I guess we're going to Rome. Like, of all, like. Anyways, they get to Rome. The crew thinks that they're stealing like some sort of computer part or something, but in actuality,
it's all a setup.
It's a setup. There's a giant bomb in the back of this pickup, in the back of the semi truck. They're stealing,
which looks suspiciously like the bomb that Bane is trying to set off at the end of The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes, sure. I haven't watched that movie since I saw it in the theater, so I'll take your word for it. I hate that movie.
All right. I don't think it's great either, but I would assume you'd watch. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked.
Yes. Anyway, so long story short, the bomb blows up, but not before Dom manages to push it in a river instead of blowing up the
entire
Vatican.
Car chase was Rocket League. It was just like watching again. This bomb is rolling down the streets of Rome, hitting cars, running into the buildings. The momentum that. Apparently, it's just a gradual hill like the streets of San Francisco because this thing never loses momentum no matter what it hits. But Dom and the family, they're Rocket Leaguing this thing, bopping it back and forth. And in true Dominic Toretto fashion, he's not only a street racer, he's not only one of the world's greatest spies and crime fighter, he's also a master of physics who, while driving down the road, understands if I punch it and jump over this bridge, I can hit this crane and spin a giant cinder block at the ball that is moving down the road knock it into the lake.
It's not. It was the counterweight of the crane. He jumped off the bridge, and the crane
hit the crane.
The crane hooked to his car, and then the momentum of the car swinging on the crane spun the counterweight around, and it hit the bomb and knocked it into the river before blowing up.
And then the bomb blows up, shoots all the water from outside of the rivers around the Vatican. Dom crashes into a wall, not a scratch on his body. The car still runs beautifully. He escapes, and he saves the day again. Letty gets arrested because they've been set up. The whole team has been set up as terrorists. So Letty gets taken to the black site where Cypher is been taken to.
Yes.
So now Letty and Cypher are in Antarctica together because we haven't been to Antarctica yet in these movies enough.
Yes. We're introduced to Brie Larson, who's Mr. Nobody's daughter, and also I can't remember her character name.
Tess, also, wasn't it Tess?
Yes, Tess. Very good. And then Ames, who's now the acting leader of the agency. Alan Richson, I think is his name. I know him from Titans. He was on Titans. I think he played Hawk.
I didn't know who he was.
Yeah, and I think he's in the Prime Jack Reacher series. To
me, he looked like that Zach guy that wrestles for AEW that's married to the chick from Jersey Shore. What's his last name? Is it Zach? Nah, I can't remember his name now.
Okay. I mean, he is kind of built like a wrestler. So yeah, but no, yeah, he's I've seen it in a couple things, and he's like comes off as he's very by the book. We've let this family run amok for too long. It's time to rein them in. And they do they've got the little like a council, kind of like the Avengers, like Fury was talking to in the Avengers movie, and they have a vote of whether to bring the family in or let them go, and they vote no, we got to stop them. So Brie Larson's like, no, we got to help them. They've done a lot for us. And so she goes on her own mission to help try and get Letty out of the black site. Well, first she meets up with Dom. She's like the 10th person to have possession of the cross necklace in the franchise. Yes. Maybe that's what the other significance of it being the 10th movie. She's like the 10th person to hold the necklace. And they go to she drops Dom off in Rio. Does he just have cars everywhere, or does he all these people just like helps transport it?
He has stash houses all over the world.
Right. Yeah.
And if he needs a vehicle, he just goes to the local street race, because when you're Dominic Toretto, you just show up at a street race and everyone knows who you are, right. And you're a living legend, and they want to race you for your pink slip, even though you've never lost a race. They want to give you a vehicle. And yeah, so he arrives in Rio to start hunting for Reyes.
Yes. They get in a street race. Dom, Dante, Elena's sister, and I can't remember, was that other dude in Fast Five? It's been a while since.
He runs the street race in Brazil, and Dom beats him. Remember, they need cars to learn how to so that they can break into the police station. He beats them, and then when Hobbs and his crew show up to try to arrest Dom, even though Dominic has taken the cars from the crew in Brazil, they still stand up. There's the infamous line: "Is your mistake is thinking you're still in America. This is Brazil," and they all pull their guns out.
Okay, all right. Like, I knew he was in it, but I was like, I can't remember what part he plays. Makes sense now. Okay, so yeah, they do that. Dante somehow has planted bombs on the other two people's cars, where that get triggered when they hit the NOS, and Dom's got to make the Dark Knight decision of who does he save. And the spoiler is neither of them, because they both he does manage to save the girl, but the other guy gets
Who we
bullied.
don't know at the time is Elena's sister.
Right.
Elena being the cop in Brazil who worked with Hobbs and Fast Five to try
and is
and
Dom's baby
is the
mama.
mother. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she shows up at this race and she's real standoffish with Dom right away. And Dom clearly knows who she is, but she doesn't know that he knows who she is.
Yeah.
And we find out that Dominic saved her because all he cares about is protecting his family.
Yes. And now, because he's Little B's aunt, she's obviously family. Yeah. I said it last night. Dom, like the one of the low key things in these movies that like women just throwing themselves at Dom, and like Dom's like, Letty, and the only ever time he gave in was when he thought Letty was dead.
Right.
So,
well, also whenever these women come around, you got to remember from the first one where Letty walks up and I smell skanks. Yeah. Like Letty has the reputation of the skank killer in the street racing community too. True. Do you really want to mess with Dominic Toretto's lady?
Yeah.
And while all of this is going on,
yes,
Tej and Roman and the rest of the crew are in London. Ramsey are in London because they've had to go on the run. And then back in California, Mia is back home watching Little B when the agency shows up to try to take the family.
Yes.
And it's not looking good. And then lo and behold, a member of the agency goes flying through the screen.
John Cena.
They should have played the music. Come on, they should have. But he comes in and he turns into the bathroom and sees Little B hiding in the corner. And he's cool. He's cool, Uncle Jacob. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" And he's just shot at.
A complete 180 character-wise from what he was in Fast 9.
Oh yeah, the last movie he's this angry, bitter, super agent, and now he's just like the cool uncle who's like, yeah, I'm gonna kill some people. I'm gonna AA someone through the floor of the family house, and then we're gonna peace out.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is exactly what happened.
Yeah, exactly. My missed opportunity when he put the tape deck in the car should have been the theme song from Peacemaker.
Yeah, that might have been a little difficult to get the clearance to, but they could have thrown something in there.
But anyways, so yeah, him and B are on the run now. They stop at a gas station for new clothes.
Yeah, and just real quick, they're all on the run. Dom is obviously in Rio, but they've all agreed to meet in this secret place that Dom said where if anything ever all goes to hell, this is where we all meet. Mm-hmm. So that's where they're trying to get to. So Jacob is trying to bring Little B. The crew is trying to get there. Dom is trying to stop Reyes so he can get to the site as well.
Yeah. So they get on a plane, Jacob and Little B do. And one of the flight attendants comes by and hands him 3 of the little airplane bottles of vodka and then the key or whatever to the floor compartment or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he's like, at the count of 3, we're going to go to the bathroom. 3. And they get up and go. And all of a sudden these people follow him because Dante has stolen all their money. We forgot that part.
We forgot that.
They've stolen all the money out of all their accounts and used it to hire a bunch of mercenaries to help hunt the family down. So back to the plane, they get in the under compartment where all the cargo is in the plane. And what we thought
you're skipping
okay, go ahead.
Hold on. You're skipping a ridiculous part of the movie though. These 3 agents or mercenaries follow them. If you've ever been on an airplane, you know the area where the bathroom is and where the stewardesses are. It's very small. They follow them into this back area. John Cena quietly, with no one else on the plane noticing, beats the holy hell out of these 3 men and stuffs them into the bathroom. And then the stewardess comes over, locks the bathroom door.
True.
Because not only is John Cena a badass, but he can beat the crap out of you. And an entire plane full of people wouldn't even know the difference.
Well, yeah, because they wouldn't see him. All they saw was the kid.
Fair enough. Well played, sir. Well played.
So yeah, they're in the luggage compartment, and we think that we're wondering there's a kayak attached to his his car, and he's carrying this giant kayak through the airport. Like, why is he carrying a kayak? That's weird. Well, it's not a kayak. It's like a mini glider plane.
Yeah, with a combustion engine in it that is fueled by Smirnoff vodka. Little did we know Ric Flair was building kayaks with engines on them that are fueled by vodka. So yeah, they get into this thing and it drops out, and now Fun Uncle Jacob is soaring through the skies with Little B in a kayak glider. Is that what we call it?
Yeah.
And they've thrown off the tail, so once again, no one knows where he's at, and they're able to safely get to their destination,
which is Portugal. So maybe they're all Portuguese.
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not? Yeah, so they're in Portugal. There's an abandoned mine that they've hollowed out, like cleaned, like made into their own bat cave, basically. But before, we got to go back to the London crew, because obviously they're in need of weapons and stuff, but there's no money. And apparently they all share like bank accounts with each other to, buy their stuff.
Don't you share your bank account with your family? Come on.
True. Good point. Except for Roman, who's got like cash just strapped to him all over. So they go to this like black market internet cafe that's still using dial-up. It's run by Pete Davidson. He's got like drug muffins. Maybe someone should give CM Punk one of those. Maybe he'll chill out a little bit. And
son of a bitch.
Yeah, and then they pretty much he pretty much sells the crew out, because it's like, hey, there's a big reward for you guys.
Well, in the middle of all this, because everything is falling apart, right? Dante really wants this family to suffer and not be together anymore. We see Tej and Roman finally get into a fist fight against each other. Yeah. It's been building for 6 movies now?
Yeah.
And they finally have it out, and they actually fight one another. And Han has taken the drug muffin and is tripping balls. And,
he only ate like 2 bites of it, and then he's like, "Yeah, that's not for me."
And in the middle of all of this is when Pete Davidson kind of alerts the authorities that, like, oh yeah, they're here. So they have to go on the run, right? So they have to go on the run.
You guys hit the copier so hard, it actually works now.
It works. I was glad that, like, I know a lot of people don't like Pete Davidson. I like Pete Davidson. I was waiting for the pop culture cameo. It was Cardi B in one of the movies. Right. Like, they always have. I was glad that he was the cameo in this. But they leave the black market, and they're still in London, and they got to find weapons and transpo. And Han knows he has to go deal with something that he's avoided since he came back.
Yeah, well, this was the Stinger. Was it the Stinger in the last movie, or was it Hobbs and Shaw? I don't remember. It was the Stinger.
I don't remember.
In one of the movies where Shaw has the dude in the body in the punching bag, and he's punching the punching bag, and then there's a knock on the door, and he opens it, and it's Han.
Yeah.
Now in the Stinger, Han still had short hair. Now he's got. They did a good job of like having him like pull his hair back.
Yeah.
They're like, it's not super long. So he's knocks on the door, and obviously Shaw thinks that he's there to get revenge for not killing him. And like Han just reaches for his handy snacks because he's always eating, and he thinks it's a weapon.
He's a 2-pack a day smoker.
Yeah. And Shaw thinks it's a weapon. They get in a little scuffle, and then all of a sudden, agency comes barreling in, and they all got to fight him off, and they do. All the while, the other 3 are like trying to get in, and they can't until the very end, and they're attacked by agency as well. All the bad guys get beat up, and they're like, oh no, they put a hit out on everybody that's ever had association with us, which means Shaw's mom. So he's like,
Dame Helen Mirren.
Yeah. He's like, all right, I gotta go save mom, and I'll get you guys transport. And that was it.
Yeah. That was it. That was Jason Statham's contribution to the movie. He's literally in the movie for a scene, and then he's out.
Yeah.
Because he's on the run, or he's on the road to go save dear old mommy.
Yeah. So I think that Letty and Cypher have the fight in the infirmary, because Tess stabs her with something to try and, that way she gets to the infirmary to get hooked up with Cypher.
Treatment.
Well, the idea was that way she got in there with Cypher and they both could escape at the same time. I'm guessing. That wasn't laid out, but I'm guessing. And Cypher has hacked it's like this high-tech medical table with lasers and stuff. She of course has hacked it and releases some sort of like sleeping gas up in the observatory area where all the, doctors are at. And he's like, how long do we have? And Cypher's like, about 4 minutes. And Lady's like, that's long enough for me. And then they start fighting.
They have their fist fight.
And Letty finally escapes. She opens the hatch in the thing, and that's when we find out they're in Antarctica. It's like, oh, of course, the one continent.
Right. So now they have to work together.
Yes.
In order to get out.
Yes. She comes
and
back
while that
down,
was going on,
and
go ahead.
Cypher has parkas and boots and stuff. So.
And while that's going on back in Brazil, Dom has finally has caught up to Dante again.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up fighting on the bridge where Dante's dad was killed and where they stole the money and all that. And in the midst of battle, first Dom goes to the jail where they steal the safe from in Fast Five.
That's the only
that's where the
property that Dante still owns.
And then the agency shows up. It's a setup. He's been arrested.
Mm-hmm.
And as they're transporting Dom keeps telling them, you better get ready, because Dom knows what's coming, because more than the agency, Dominic knows as a super spy what's coming next. And the transport gets ambushed, much like in Fast Five. And there's a shootout on the bridge. The head of the agency gets shot. Brie Larson, Tess's character, shows up. She gets shot.
Yes.
Long story short, Dante ends up with God's eye because Tess decided to keep God's eye on her at all times.
Right.
Because it was safer that way.
Yes.
Well, now he not only has all these resources and goons, he has God's eye.
Which is the supercomputer from 7?
6, I believe. No, 7. You're right.
Yeah,
7.
Yeah. That Ramsey, she's the creator of it.
She's created it.
Yeah. Anyways, so yes, and then of course now it's like Ames is like, oh well, I'm not gonna say I'm sorry, but we're gonna get your kid.
Right, because his crew has been attacked, and he is much like Hobbs in 5 realizes Dom's not the bad guy that he says he is,
right,
or that people think he is.
So we think that's what he's come around to.
And from there, now Dom needs to get to Portugal to meet with the family.
Right. So we are all converging on Portugal. The Jacob and Lil B are in the Batcave, and there's a very large car underneath a tarp that he pulls off the tarp, and it's a I don't even remember what kind of car it was, but it's a black car with 4 cannons attached to it, two on each side, pointing in either direction.
Yes. And I think it's in El Camino, because that's what stores all of the bombs.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. You know what?
It has to be in El Camino because of the way it's shaped, and he's got all these rockets on the back, and then because he's John Cena, he's developed a system for these rockets to just fall into the cannons when he needs them, and then he pulls the lever and they shoot out.
Right. until it gets jammed. So they get in the, they're there, they think, oh, we're safe. And then like literally 2 minutes later,
immediately,
like, they have lasers, of course, to, warning sensors or whatever. Car drives by it. They're like, oh, Jacob's like, oh, we got to go get in the car. So they get in the car and he starts shooting the cannons. And of course, inevitably they get stuck. The shells get stuck. The feeding system doesn't work. Dom shows
because
up.
John Cena is a shit engineer.
Yes. Ames has brought Dom in the big jet, and he's like, oh, well, the airfield's like 7 clicks from here. He's like, no, drop me off here. He's like, there's no place to land. Who said anything about landing?
Who said anything about landing?
Gets in his Challenger. They open the cargo doors, and he just drives off.
Well, he drives back from, I don't know. I'd say 40, 50 feet above ground.
That's true.
He just punches it in reverse.
Yeah, that's right.
And he slides out the back and lands on top of 2 cars that are driving down the highway. They bounce in the air and do rolls. I don't think that's how the physics of that would work. But as I said earlier, if you're talking about the physics, go to hell.
Yeah.
He lands on the cars and then just takes off.
Yeah.
He's fine. And Dom's right there. He's in the chase. And in the midst of all this, he's got walkie-talkies that, I don't know, he hasn't talked to Jacob since all this happened, but they knew to be on the right channel to talk with.
That's actually probably the most believable thing, is that they would know what channel of walkie-talkie to be on.
Right. So he lands, and now he's riding side by side with Cena, and it looks like they're going to get away. However, Dante shows up and is in pursuit.
Yes.
And because the rocket car is jammed, little B decides, well, he's going to be a hero and jump out and fix it. And he does, but unfortunately, while he's fixing it, he doesn't realize Dante has pulled up next to him and snatches him. And then Cena has to break the news to his big brother that he's once again let the family down.
Yes.
And his son has been kidnapped.
Yes. And then Cena takes it upon himself. Everyone's closing in. They're surrounded by all these vehicles. And Cena decides he's going to sacrifice himself because, again, no one dies. But we are led to believe that John Cena is dead. Because he, angles the rockets towards the ground and fires them all, and it launches his car up and then on top of a bunch of the other cars, and there's a big explosion.
Yes, and that clears the path for Dom to catch up to Dante and his son.
Yes. He eventually gets his son back, and they think they're getting away. And then they're trapped on a bridge between 2 semis.
Well, he gets little B back, and Dante looks furious.
Yes.
And as they're driving, Ames, who is up in the airplane, communicating with another transpo that's supposed to be bringing Tej and Roman and all them, he says, "Hey, make a right up here on that side road. It'll lead you right to the airfield where he's supposed to meet up with him." And as they get off, it's a 1-lane, it's a dam that they're on. And Dom realizes, oh no, I'm trapped again, because on one end of the road is a fuel tanker, and then behind him is now a fuel tanker, and there's nowhere for him to go.
Yes.
And Dante informs us that this has been the plan all along.
He suffered enough, and now it's time for him to die.
That was later. He says that's not yet.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So Dom is trying to figure out how to get out of this, and as that is happening, we realize Tej and the crew are here. They're coming in with the plane. Mm-hmm. It's time for
get out of here.
Immaculate Escape. Right. Dominic, because he's a super spy, realizes this is a trap, and this is where we find out Ames was a heel the whole time, and he was in on it all along. And it
was me, Dom. It was me. It was along.
Me. And he shoots down the plane with Tej, Roman, Han, and the rest of Han
and Ramsey,
and the rest of the. Ramsey, and no one else is on there.
No.
It's just those four.
Yeah.
Um,
And that plane Roman. Well, we see an explosion. We don't see the plane blow up.
That Roman sees the rocket coming, and he runs to the back of the plane, and then we see it hit the plane. The plane goes around a mountain, and you see the explosion, but we don't see anything else.
Right. So
but again, we're led to believe they're all dead.
They could be dead. Not as definitive or not as conclusive as what John Cena's fate seemed to be, but again, as we'll get to, no one dies. So then Dom decides the tankers are remote controlled, so he's gonna drive them and kind of smash Dom's car in between them, blow up, all that kind of stuff. Dom decides then what he needs to do is drive off the dam and down the side of the dam, which is what he does. The two tankers collide, big explosion. He's racing down the dam with a big ball of fire following him, to which he decides, there's a big explosion behind me. You know what's a really great idea right now? If I hit the
Open that NOS tank, baby. Open that NOS tank, baby.
So he hits the NOS. They get down to the bottom of the dam. They crash.
Hit the little ramp at the end. Go flying through the air. Land in the dam. They get out of swim to the surface, and they're standing there. And now this is when Dante tells him he's suffered enough. Now it's time for him to die. And the entire dam is rigged with explosives. Yes.
And we're like, oh no. How is Dom going to get out of this one? Cut. We're back.
We don't see it.
We don't see it. We don't know what happens. Back to Antarctica. Cypher and Letty have made it out of the hatch at the Black Site prison. All of a sudden, a big submarine pops out of the ice.
Throwback to Fate of the Furious.
Yes. The hatch on the submarine opens, and a woman comes. And at first, I thought it was Mia. I'm like, oh, it's Mia.
I thought it was
a submarine.
I thought it was the flight attendant because of the short black hair, which I forgot to mention. Did you know that is Paul Walker's daughter?
Oh, is that? I knew that she had.
That's her cameo. Oh, okay. The flight attendant is Paul Walker's daughter, and that's why Cena has the line where it's good to have friends in high places.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's who I thought it was, but no, Fast and the Furious franchise fans, no, it is do you want to spoil it or should I?
It's fucking Gal Gadot.
Right, Wonder Woman is back in the building. This chick 4 movies ago fell off of a plane that was going at least 100 miles an hour through an explosion, had to hit the ground and just splatter. But no, she's fine. And not only is she fine, she's back. She looks great. And she's in with Cypher on how to save the family.
Brilliant.
And that's the end of our movie.
Yes, that's where the movie
That's ends. Where it ends.
Well, post credits.
And then we have the post credits scene.
Actually mid credits. To get technical, but whatever. Yes. So I guess we're running off, like, if I think about it, there's the theory, there's the theory it's in action movies and that unless you see the body, no one is actually truly dead. And like with Reyes, like with Dante's dad, like Hobbs shot him, like bam, bam, he's dead. We saw that. We never saw it. Like Gal Gadot fell. But then, like, they did the thing where, like, she got so far down that you couldn't see her anymore. Like, you didn't see the splat. Same thing with, like, the explosion happens. We don't see Han's body. We don't see Cena's, like, we don't see any bodies.
You were right. Right. It's just assumed. Like, dude, I made the joke, like, at this point, I'm expecting Emperor Palpatine to show up in these movies. It's just, no, I'm here. I never died.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Mid-credit
scene. There's a team of some sort of soldiers or whatever going through a building. I thought they were on their way to get Hobbs. Because that's why I was like, show him just doing like push or pull-ups or like have him just clanging and banging somewhere when these dudes pull up and have him do it. No, he's leading the team. It's some abandoned house or some mansion or something. And this team, they're sweeping all the rooms. They get to this one room, and it's kind of similar to what Dom walked into, the police station with the video screens, and it's just, and there's a phone there that's all bedazzled and stuff. And it rings, and this person picks it up, and
it's Dante.
It is Dante, and I can't remember exactly how he says it, but basically, Dom just stole the money. You actually killed my father.
Yeah, he says Dominic drove the car, but you fired the shots.
Yes, that's
and
right.
Basically says the same thing to this person that he said to Dom, in that he's going to torture him and ruin his life to make him pay for what he did.
And then this person takes off all his mask and stuff, and it's Luke Hobbs back in the universe.
He's back, baby.
And he calls him a bitch.
Well, Dante says he's coming looking for him, and Luke's line is, well, I'm not that hard to find, you some bitch. And then because he's Luke Hobbs, he crushes the phone in his hand.
Yes.
And that is the official, nothing else is shown in the movie.
No post credits, just this after the in the middle of the credits. So
yeah.
So Hobbs is back after all that.
After promising he would never do one of these movies again.
Keep my name out of your mouth and all that kind of stuff. Matt's theory is that, Black Adam tanked and everything, Rock's down so bad that he went crawling back. I'm of the impression that after the initial blow up, when Hobbs and Shaw came out, that him and Vin got together and let's work the marks, brother.
I don't think so. I think it's more of a symptom of when all of that happened, he was the biggest movie star in the world. Since then, his celebrity has started to come down. And if he wants to make blockbusters again, he's going to have to play with the Fast franchise.
He's Kevin Durant.
Yeah, he goes to wherever the new.
He can win championships. He's just got to be on the right team.
Sure.
I'm happy he's back though. So.
Oh yeah, the whole it was disappointing that he was never that it looked like he wasn't going to be back. I am thrilled that he's back in this franchise.
Yes. I think that's it. I was going to get into theory corner, but looks like we've been on so long. It looks like my kid's about to wake up, so we'll save that for a different day.
This damn kid.
I know. But all right. So yeah, that was probably our longest episode ever, but who cares? We got to break.
Yeah, I mean, it was one episode of wrestling, and then I think we probably spoke for 45 minutes about that movie.
I mean, it was almost an hour just on the movie, but
yeah, we didn't even get into how Rock's return was spoiled by the aggregate sites.
Yeah. Real quick, let me go on that rant. I had the Rock return spoiled 4 days ago,
before the movie even came out.
Before the movie even came out, by these wrestling aggregate Facebook pages that I don't even follow. Facebook, fucking Zuckerberg just goes, "Hey, you like wrestling? You might like this page," and it's Joe Schmo's wrestling page, and it's not spoiler in the end credits.
It's got some shitty name like Kris and Matt's wrestling podcast or something.
And they don't even it's not even even if it was something I would have figured it out, but even if it would have been something like spoiler is in post-credit scene in new Fast and Furious movie. No, they said The Rock is in the post-credit scene in the new Fast and Furious. I'm like,
not only that, he was doing media. He was doing media before the movie came out. This was the plan all along for me to come back to the franchise. You son of a bitch! I had it wasn't even it's been out for
because I was on.
I saw that.
I was on I was on full I don't want to see. I don't care about anything from the premiere. I don't want to know anything.
Right. So, I didn't either. But it's not like the movie has been out for 2 or 3 weeks, and if you get it spoiled, it's kind of like if it meant that much to you, you would have seen it. The movie wasn't even out. You couldn't go see it.
Yeah.
and that scene was getting spoiled.
Yeah.
Bullshit. I hate people. I've had episodes of Ted Lasso and Succession ruined for me lately by this. Oh, it's nonsense.
Nonsense.
Whatever. You got to go take care of your kid.
All right. That'll do it. Until next time, shit. I guess we're going to Rome.